And next up at UFC 325, this one's an absolute banger. Looking forward to this one. We've got Mauricio Ruffy taking on Rafael Fiziev. Carlos, who you got in this striker v striker matchup?
I've got Fiziev in this one, and you know, we were talking about earlier. I think strike for strike, I think Fiziev could stand with him. Um, I just feel that on the feet, Rufi's going to get the better of him. You know what I mean? He's going to get into that flow state if he knows there's no threat of a takedown. So I feel that Fiziev needs to start early with the takedowns. He needs to wrestle a lot.
Let's wrestle. Let's wrestle. Let's wrestle.
Lot early. He needs to clinch him early, and he has to make Rufi feel that threat of, all right, I can't overextend on anything. I have to be ready to sprawl. I have to be ready to down block. I have to be ready to frame. Everything that every fighter pretty much has to do is transition from striking to wrestling. And Rufi hasn't really had to deal with that threat all the time. Now, Fiziev can pose that threat. The guys over at Tiger Muay Thai, yes, they got great stand-up, but they also have very good wrestling, and they have very good takedown defense, very good takedowns. They're very well-rounded camp over there, and I just feel that Fiziev has enough skill. He could punish him on the feet. Like I said, punish him early, make Rufi have to defend. And when he's defending, has a high guard, go in for that takedown. Make him feel uncomfortable on the ground if you can. Now, Rufi's most likely, you'd be stupid if you don't, but has to be working on his wrestling. He needs to be able to get back up. Being held down like that by Benoit Saint-Denis was very, I got to say for him, very embarrassing. Someone with so much hype, and now everybody found the answer. Everybody knows how to stop him. Now, he's probably been working. He's an athlete. And he's going to be able to get back up, to be able to wrestle a little bit better. Is it going to be enough to keep Fiziev off him? Is it going to be enough to get back to his feet against somebody like Fiziev? Who knows? I just know that Fiziev, he can wrestle, he can strike, and that's going to pose a huge problem for Rufi. So I'm going to take Fiziev to get it done.
Yeah, great analysis. I can't deny that that's definitely a strategy I think Fiziev can employ, you know, getting worried about the takedowns, especially after his last matchup. But when doing research for this fight, originally I was kind of leaning towards Fiziev until I read one thing that kind of swayed my mind, and that's that Rufi has left the Fighting Nerds. He's gone over to train with Alexander Volkanovski's camp towards the latter stages of last year after him obviously losing to Benoit Saint-Denis. I think that's a great move. If you really think about Volkanovski, what he does well and what he's going to be able to get from that camp, I think his cardio is going to improve, which has definitely been something that's been a question mark for Rufi. I think his grappling is going to improve in terms of his takedown defense. And I think overall, Volk's ability to be able to kind of hit and not get hit, circle around on the outside, you know, kind of chop at the low kick, all things that I think a guy like Rufi will be able to learn from and implement in his game plan here. And I think that's why I'm going to pick him here. I think Mauricio Ruffy, I'm going to assume he's made improvements. That's what I'm basing this breakdown off of. Obviously, if it's just the last Ruffy that we just saw against Fiziev, I think Fiziev probably takes it. But I'm going to say that Mauricio Ruffy comes in here, a better version of himself, 2.0 here. And I think realistically, when you look at Ruffy's skill set, we all know about the striking. People compare it to Conor McGregor. Carlos and I have talked about that, debated about that. You know, I think that he's definitely a talented striker. He's definitely exciting to watch. That spinning wheel kick of Bobby Green is a highlight that's not going to leave anybody's mind from last year's knockout. But what I like about Rufi here is the hands. When you look at Fiziev, he's got very nice kicks. He chops at the low kick. He's got that, you know, Muay Thai base, as Carlos mentioned. And the kicks are definitely in the repertoire of Fiziev. But I think that the straight shots, the counter strikes of Rufi here, straight down the pipe is what's going to be able to serve him well. And I think that combined with the new cardio, the new ability to be able to defend takedowns here against Fiziev is going to be what's going to serve him well. He's got the slight height, the slight reach advantage. And I think when he's the one that's able to control range on the feet, he's very, very tough to beat, and I think he's going to be able to do that. When you look at Fiziev with the striking, he's obviously very compact, shoulders high. He's the hands are very, very sort of tight together in that sort of Muay Thai style. And I think Ruffy, when, like Carlos mentioned, he gets into a flow state, he can kind of become a sniper. He can maybe have Fiziev guessing. And we saw in the Justin Gaethje fight, Gaethje was able to land on Fiziev with the boxing, with the hands. I think Ruffy's going to have no problem touching him with the boxing. And I think both guys are going to have their moments with the strikes, with the legs, with the kicks. And I think realistically it comes down to whether Carlos is right and Fiziev can mix in a couple of takedowns here, and if Ruffy has improved that takedown and that element of his game. I'm going to say that he does. Give me Mauricio Ruffy here as a slight underdog to get this one done, providing that he shows up as the new 2.0 version of himself. If we see the old version, all bets are off. I think Fiziev probably takes it, but I'm going to go with Ruffy to get it done.